Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Plot Lines. I'm your host, Connor, and today I'm talking about The Sound of Freedom, an update about what's been going on with the movie. And basically, has it been a success? Has it been not a success? That's sort of what what's really in the news right now. So the big news is that it's crossed $100 million at the box office, which is pretty amazing because Angel Studios really isn't a very big studio. It's very new. It's mostly known for The Chosen, which is amongst some Catholics is a very good show. Amongst others, it has a lot of problems. I've never seen it. I've never when you have the Passion of the Christ and also have the resurrection movie coming out in the near future. I don't think it's necessary to watch this type of thing, but that's my opinion. If you have a different opinion, feel free to share that. If let me know if you guys watch the Chosen series. So, but the big thing is that this movie is in it's created by, it was created by Eduardo Verastegui and stars Jim Caviezel, and the movie is incredibly well done. It's not very different from an exemplary movie done by a normal studio, which of course it was originally put going to be put out by 20th Century Fox before it was bought by the behemoth that is Disney. I think it's ironic that there are rumors about ironic. It's perfect that there are rumors that Disney is going to be getting sold or merged with somebody after its colossal week, or not week, colossal year. The year has been terrible. My understanding is they've lost like $800 million just from streaming alone, and their movies have not been making their money back because a lot of people don't think about this. Is that a lot of the movies you see when you see them, okay, they made $700 million or whatever. It's important to look at, okay, how much money did this like did they spend on this movie, and is usually enormous. It's like $300 million, and they really didn't make their money back because it's very difficult to make your money back if you're putting that much money in, especially their CGI has been absolute garbage as of late. If you ask anybody sort of to compare that CGI to sort of early 2000s CGI in really good movies, or even late in the 2010s, the CGI wasn't bad, but for some reason it's just been an absolute mess. But anyway, so they also, in the Angel Studios, they also use this program called Pay It Forward, which allows which allows the sort of the audience to be able to buy tickets for other people. And that's, so if you weren't going to see this because you didn't have the money to see this, but you still want to, you have the ability to go and get free tickets on the website, which is pretty cool strategy, especially because there are a lot of people who want to support these types of movies, and maybe they don't want to go to the movie multiple times, or they don't have the time to do that, but they're willing to sort of put their money there and get other people tickets. That's a pretty awesome way of doing things. Max in the chat. Hey Mac, how you doing? uh Now, it's this movie. It's a heartbreaking thriller, and it really has immense heroism in it. Especially, if you look at Jim Caviezel's character, he's playing Tim Ballard, which all of the movie was based on a true story and multiple true stories. So they took different parts of Tim Ballard's history of saving kids from these horrible situations, and they combined it into one story because you tell all these different stories, you only have a limited amount of time. But one of the good things about this movie doing really well is that they are going to be able to make more of these. We are going to have more entertainment that speaks to the audience, speaks to good wholesome people who don't want to see trash, because most of these movies these days have been just absolute garbage. I mean, I haven't seen it and I won't see it, but people are saying Barbie is just very feminist and that Ken is basically the villain or something like that, or there are multiple Kens or something like that, and they portray the world as just being this really ugly place. And this is the message that these people are putting out there, and it's disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. So it's one thing that the Tim Ballard story, The Sound of Freedom, shows a very ugly side of human society, which is it's very true. That does um it shows a very ugly side. I mean, if you don't think sex trafficking of children isn't ugly, I don't know what you would think is ugly. I think the Freedom Tunes cartoon about the Sound of Freedom was really funny, making fun of the executives of all these major studios of Hollywood, that they would they would see themselves more in the pedophile story than they do with Jim Caviezel's character, because of course they do. That's the stereotype, it's a really great cartoon. Seamus Coughlin does very good work, but I think it's important to sort of recognize that good movies are a necessity in the future, just like good books, good novels, uh, good writing of any kind. Building culture is something that only thriving cultures can do. If a culture is if dying, if people are living in poverty, I mean, we have lived in like impoverished in a lot of ways for a long time, and obviously there has been books and entertainment written during those times. I mean, just think about Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey. Just think about Dante and the Divine Comedy. Just think about Shakespeare. I mean, by no stretch of the imagination were these time periods uh amazing. People were starving at different people were starving. There was a high mortality rate, mostly infant mortality rate, but and science was so unrefined and that sort of thing. But culture is necessary for society, especially because what we leave behind will be how we are represented to the future generations, and the future generations are supposed to learn from us. And personally, I don't think anybody wants to look at a lot of the movies that are being put out and people to learn from that, except for maybe how not to make movies, how not to tell stories. um Max says Sound of Freedom makes the important point that the borders need to be monitored. Yes, that's true. It's an interesting point. There are a few points, uh, when Jim Caviezel's character goes to the border, that's definitely an important moment, and he catches a trafficker and saves the boy. That's a big deal, because at least from our perspective, and I was thinking, so when I was watching that movie, I was thinking, oh, they're not gonna get him. They're not, he for some reason there's gonna be a legal thing that's gonna keep them from keep Jim Caviezel from saving the kid. And I thought, wow, they were able to do it. That's impressive. And one of the big things is, if the borders aren't monitored, if people are just able to come through these borders so easily, then child trafficking can just grow as a business. And it is a business. It's a thriving business. That's one of the whole points of the movie, is to help people wake up to how evil but how sort of profitable this type of business is, so we can shut it down. Because a business like this, the reason it exists is because there's demand, and Hollywood and uh, degenerate parts of society are just increasing the demand for these children to be trafficked, which is absolutely disgusting. And this was one of the things, like, so with policing, there's something called the broken windows policy. So it's basically like you make sure that a neighborhood, that people are, uh, get fined or get arrested or whatever the punishment is, for if they're putting up graffiti or breaking windows or something like that. Because if you don't arrest them for that, then it's just going to make people more inclined to do worse crimes. And that's that seems to be exactly what happens. Um so this is kind of the same idea. If you don't lock down the border, if you don't have the border closed, or at least monitored well, then you're just going to incentivize more people to do this. If you don't stop them, if you don't have any repercussions for the drug cartels, or for the people trafficking children, or even for just random 20 something men who don't have anything that's attaching them to a community. They don't have a wife, they don't have children. If you just allow them to move across the borders, more and more people are going to do that. And chaos within chaos, very many evil things happen within chaos. And that's the thing. This is one thing liberals don't get. And when I mean liberals, I don't mean just sort of people on the left. This is something that is ingrained in liberals on the right and liberals on the left. They both agree sort of that people should be able to do kind of whatever they want, and that sort of mentality loosens things up, loosens morality up, loosens values up, loosens our laws up, so that things slip through the cracks, and then those cracks begin to normalize those cracks, and then those cracks grow bigger, and then they become holes, and then no one wants to fix the holes. And then once you don't want to fix the holes, then they just basically become the law. If you leave something a certain way for so long, they basically become the law, and you almost have no business dealing with the situation. So it's necessary that we deal with the situation regarding human trafficking. Um, so this is sort of one of the messages of this movie. And if you haven't seen the movie, you need to do this. You need to go. It's a difficult movie to see, but it's worthwhile. And you can get free tickets if you can't afford it. If you're one of these people that you know the economy is terrible right now. This pay it forward is so important for the fact that the economy is absolute garbage and inflation is terrible, and because of a lot of policies. There's a lot of problems with policies. Um, Printing money is just it's reckless. The government has been absolutely reckless ever since COVID. Um, so just think about that. Is that this studio has made it so that people that are in the position to provide tickets for people are able to do that. And it's an interesting thing, because if you look at studios these days, they are not making money from movies. The movies are absolutely tanking for them. And Angel Studios is finding a way to actually uh, improve. I mean, they're also taking up a piece of the box office that hasn't been tapped in a long time. I mean, it's probably been tapped at different points, but with so many right wing news outlets and with Twitter and all that stuff, with the Daily Wire as well. The Daily Wire has been pushing this movie very well. Though, Michael Knowles has this great interview with Jim Caviezel and Tim Ballard. I mean, it's not really an interview; it's his yes or no game, which I think is a lot of fun. He does an absolute great job. So Max asking, will I see the Oppenheimer movie? So I found it like in the trailer because I went to the Mission Impossible movie, and I'll be covering Tom Cruise's history and career in the future. And I saw the Oppenheimer trailer. It's definitely interesting. I've seen people. I haven't listened to any reviews or anything, but people have been sort of. I think people have been going back and forth whether it's sort of pro-communist or anti-communist, which I don't know. I'm not really sure how the movie could be pro-communist or anti-communist, but it's probably going to be one of those movies that I wait to see outside of the theater. I've been to the theater a little too much recently. I went to Sound of Freedom. I guess I went to Super Mario, I went to Sound of Freedom, and I went to Mission Impossible. So I don't think that I'm gonna go to Oppenheimer in the theater. Thanks for the question, and I hope that I don't know if Mac, if you want to tell me in the chat, I'd love to know if you're going to the movie, and if you've already is it out? I don't know if it's out, but if you've already gone or if you're planning to, I'd love to hear eventually what you think and if you think I should go, because I don't know. It's just one of those things. Christopher Nolan movies, I think I liked Inception, and the Dark Knight trilogy wasn't really my taste in Batman movies. I've always wanted a more comics based movie of Batman. Whenever they always dance around Robin, or Robin was a really Robin in like the 90s or the 80s. I can't remember if that was the 90s or the 80s. I can't remember. He's just a punk, and I did not like that version of Robin when he's like 20 something. I think Robin needs to be a kid, otherwise it's not really. He's not Robin. He's Nightwing or something like that. Greg says, "Keep up the great work, Connor." And yeah, we met in Texas, and Greg, it's great to see you in the chat. And I really enjoyed meeting you, and that was a lot of fun in Texas. For the Blessed Charles Symposium was a lot of fun. I don't think there's going to be another one this year, but I next year I think there should be another one. So who knows? I might be back there. If next time you guys, if you haven't gone to the Blessed Charles Symposium, you really should consider going. It's a lot of fun, and Texas is wonderful around October, and that's when I was there. So, but yeah, so one of the important aspects is I was saying that this movie has made $100 million. There are a lot of implications about that. The movie's budget was about 15 million. I don't know how much they spent on advertisements, and they must have spent a good deal of money, at least on like Twitter and stuff like that. I don't know if I've seen any media they did outside of Twitter. I don't remember seeing any of their let me know in the comments if you've seen like trailers on TV or ads in that way, or on YouTube. I haven't seen any of that. And I really think word of mouth was their best strategy to get the word out, because this movie tugs at the heartstrings. This movie, let me see. So the box office for this movie, it wasn't super impressive. I mean, the first day was decent. It wasn't, it didn't beat out. I mean, it beat out on the day, on the 4th of July. It beat out, uh, what was it? Indiana Jones. But Indiana Jones had already been out for the weekend. It had already had its first weekend. So it made sense. It was a good sign that it beat Indiana Jones, but it needed to beat Indiana Jones. That was kind of necessary for it to be like, okay, to get some attention. And if it didn't beat Indiana Jones, it would have been a little bit of a bad sign for them. But they were able to beat Indiana Jones, and over the course, and even like the first weekend wasn't that great, but the second weekend was absolutely phenomenal, and they've been kind of staying on the $4 million, $5 million, $6 million, and $7 million in that range for a consistent amount of time. And it's, from what I can tell, is that it seems to have stuck there a lot longer than Indiana Jones, though of course Indiana Jones got a lot of their money in the early stages. So Indiana Jones got a really early boost, and then it really dropped off pretty quickly from what I understand. And this movie has continued to build up an audience. I don't know if people are going multiple times. I really kind of doubt that people are going multiple times. Let me know in the comments if you went to this movie multiple times, because it's a really hard movie to get through, to get through that. But then again, a lot of people might be paying it forward, and that's a great strategy with this type of movie, because you're not going to get that many people going multiple times, even though it's definitely a movie worth seeing multiple times. Probably it's just a hard movie to sit through. Very well done. I mean, Jim Caviezel does a fantastic job in this movie. uh I'm gonna see if Barbara Nicolosi wants to come on. She had some critiques for the movie. I think she thought it was a good movie, but she's a film writer, so she teaches. She's a professor of film, so she definitely has strong opinions on film, and she has some criticisms of the movie, especially that Jim Caviezel's character doesn't really have any problems. He doesn't have anything to overcome necessarily, except for on the physical level, like, defeating a bad guy or whatever. But that's to be, it's a thriller. That's natural. But he didn't have any sort of flaws as a character, which Tim Ballard, the real person, has a good number of flaws, but they sort of, I think they wanted to focus on the kids in some sense, not make the story really about him, and focus on the kids. So I understand why they did what they did. But anyway, so that's an interesting thing. I hope to talk to her maybe about her critiques, because we've all heard all just straight good things about this movie, I imagine, unless you're watching mainstream media or something like that, or corporate media, or whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of names you can call it, but basically, this this movie is very well praised across all sort of people that would be predisposed to enjoy this movie. But the one thing is that this movie, does qualify as a well performed, well acted movie, and it's important for people to see this movie. Now, if you guys have any questions about sort of my opinions on the movie, or anything related to the Plotlines channel, let me know in the comments. It's been a while since I've live streamed. Most of my videos have been premieres as of late. So if you have any questions, feel free uh, to ask me. Also, please make sure you like, subscribe, join the Discord. There's a link in the description to join the Discord. It would be really great. I do every Monday. I host sort of a casual chat on the Discord. So if you're interested in that, joining. I know some people aren't as technologically with it there, and even I'm not very technologically um, proficient in that area, and that's why I only do Discord for the most part. Telegram, I'm just not very good at, so I apologize for that. But yeah, so if anybody has any questions about the future of plot lines, just let me know. And so upcoming episodes, Charles Colom's coming back to talk about Engelbert Dollfuss, and sort of the Austrian uh, politics before World War II, before the Anschluss. So that's going to be a really interesting topic. I had a show last night that I recorded with Supreme Crusader, who is a Twitter friend of mine, and he's a Protestant. So we get into sort of some of the differences, and we talk about his experience as a Protestant, and he's looking into other denominations because he's not he's interested in other sides of Christianity. So it will be that's an interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it, so I hope you guys all enjoy that as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else upcoming. The Tom Cruise one will be a lot of fun, and yeah, so I hope you enjoy my work, and uh, I hope to continue. If you've already subscribed, I hope to continually earn your subscription. And if I haven't earned your subscription, I hope that I can do so, and I intend to do so. So thank you all for watching. No, I don't see any comments. Wait, the SC. Oh, the Supreme Margot is asking wait, where's this? I think it's the Supreme Crusader video. That's not out yet. That will be probably out either tomorrow or Monday or something like that. So that will be coming out. We recorded it yesterday, but I haven't released it because I wanted to do this episode because I was pretty sure that this Sound of Freedom was going to hit $100 million at the box office. I really hope that this movie goes beyond that and maybe gets 200 million. That'd be pretty cool. It hasn't had an international release, so if it does, that might really give it a huge boost. Then it might sort of be able to really compete with the big movies if that happens, which would be pretty fantastic, I would say. So anyways, thank you all for watching, and God bless. Bye.